Right, talofa for lover, kia ora, g'day everybody. Welcome to Off the Record with Fridge, episode 0. I'm your host, Fridge Masina, and you might be wondering why episode 0 and why we got a couple of these dudes on my screen as well. Episode 0 because I figured before I bring out the first one, which by the time you hear this will be in a couple of days' time, you should probably get to know a bit about me and what I'm about and kind of what this pod might be about as well. So excited to be here finally. It's taken a while, and I'll acknowledge the people that helped me get to this very spot shortly. But I guess just quickly a little bit about me before I introduce the brothers. My name is Fridge Masina, or Mark, which most of my childhood friends would know me by. And kind of how I landed here in podcast world is I have to give a shout out to Faitele Rugby, I guess. Going into lockdown, what was it? We figured we'd do a few live interviews and things like that. That kind of gathered some steam and got some good feedback from there. So I want to acknowledge Faitele Rugby and the Daily Planet boys that we do it with. So that's Hayden O'Toole, Eugene Smith, Ezra Upeli, and Jack Ross. So thank you, boys. Hopefully you tune in and get a taste of what I'm bringing out here. New Zealand-born Samoan, as the other brothers are, I think. Born and bred in Wellington, Faitele boy to the death. Went to Wolford School, Primary, Faitele College, Waitangi College, St. Bernard's College. A few stories there that we probably won't get into. Played rugby for Apparel boys and definitely Faitele rugby as well. Big music head, love my music, love bands. Foo Fighters, Eagles are my number ones. But yeah, what to expect? Probably little to no edits. Depending on Wi-Fi, you might get a few freezes here and there. But to be honest, I don't really care. It's kind of the raw kind of feel that we're wanting to bring. Sep's mic might fail. Pumba might freeze.
Absolutely not.
But that's all a part of it. And just a quick thanks to the boys before I bring in the brothers. Is I want to thank Mona Apparel for the music. What a beat, boys! Good beat, eh?
Hell yeah!
Good beat,
bro.
I found myself humming it the other day on my way to work.
Same, bro. Like he's sitting on some mad tracks. So I'm trying to encourage him to bring his music out. The brother Pumba Fereti here, who done the design for the logo and logos for me. Sepe helping me out with all the technical stuff and just encouraging me along the way as well.
Oh yeah.
The boys, Pumba and Seps, what are they doing here? I asked them to come on.
What are they doing?
Episode 0 value. Absolute 0 value.
That's what everyone's wondering. What are they doing here?
But I asked the boys to come on. I was going to drop it just by myself, but man, anyone listening to this would be bored as just listening to me trying to say a few words. So the boys are on to maybe help me expose a bit about myself.
Oof.
Which isn't a nice picture, but verbally and through the ears might be good. But Sepe and Pumba, both younger than me. Both blazing their own trails in their own right. Sepe is a playwright, actor. What's your role at Vic Uni at the moment, Seps?
It's a 100 level equity support tutor, so looking after 100 level Māori and Pacifica students in the School of English, Film, Theatre and Media Studies and Art History. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, but I agree. I'd say I'm a freelance creative at this stage, but mainly acting at the moment. Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of his work. I've been lucky to see a lot of his work and asked for a refund straight away.
So sorry, yeah, that's really unfortunate. I mean, you shouldn't have led with the shows, to be honest. I'm kidding.
All good. And young Pumba here, I've known Pumba since primary school. Best friends with him and his older brother Fred. Pumba's creative in his own right with everything he does. Currently a director, you and Janice, of Rain Apparel over there in Sydney.
That sounds nice, director. I'll go with that.
Man.
Yeah, I'll take that.
but another Wolford boy. Did you go Sacred Heart as well? Primary?
Yes, I was transferred to Sacred Heart when my siblings left Wolford,
True.
where I met, I'm sure, one of your future podcast guests, Dwayne.
Oh,
There he
Everything,
is.
everything went downhill.
Definitely have to get Dwayne on at some point. And yeah, just ever since I've known these two, they've kind of become real close. I wouldn't say unusual friendships, but maybe like I consider these two kind of two of my best friends, brothers, obviously. And it's unusual for an older person to look up to kind of two younger people, but I certainly do. I certainly do with these two. They've helped me out with anything that I've needed. So thank you, brothers, for joining us. And guess we'll go around the table and see what he's been up to. Seps, what have you been up to lately, bro?
Absolutely. Kind of a mixed bag, really. I guess we're all coming out of this COVID. What do you call it? Campaign? No, we're coming out of this sort of time, and I'm sort of figuring out what my next steps are. Obviously, I was lucky. I still held my role at uni, so I worked right through. But all of the creative stuff, the theatre, all of the acting, I had to get cancelled, which kind of is what it is. I sort of expected that. But we're in a new time of figuring out what are the next steps for us. So, figuring it out, but just trucking along with work. And yeah.
And when do you guys go back to actually working from uni?
So they did have that option. Trimester 1's going to stay remote in terms of classes, but they're encouraging all students and staff to go back now, and because of social distancing, we're able to break those, or there are no rules anymore. So everyone's encouraged to go to to go to uni and to work from there, but all of the classes are going to stay remote, and I think they're offering it as like a hybrid next trimester. So the option's there to do it remote, but they are trying to get, especially for like papers like theatre, kind of makes sense to go in and do it in person. It'd be a little harder to do it through Zoom constantly.
I wonder why not just back to normal, like just straight away, if we're kind of back to level 1, or
I think they want to stick close to worst case scenarios. So if something happens and all of a sudden we have to shift straight back to remote learning, they don't want to be too far away from that. So that means people who are living like far away, if they need to make arrangements on just like that, then the opportunity is there, and they've got it already set up. So remote learning, they've got Zoom set up. Yeah. So it is just like more of up to the students to, all right, today everyone's going to stay home. There's been a test or a positive test at uni. Everyone has to stay home. They can just go, oh yeah, let's just switch to our second half of the class. I think from the emails that I've got, mate, I'm not that important at uni. I don't, mate. I'm reading these bulletins as much as the next guy, so I'm not making any decisions like that. I'm just reading them. It's nice to talk like I am, but yeah. So that's your Victoria University stance on this matter, and that's all I'm willing to share with you, right?
Speaking on behalf of the uni.
Absolutely.
Oh, you're right up there, mate.
Look at that. Spokesman.
Hard. But just before I move on to Pumba, Seps, I just want to ask as well, like, before COVID happened, you kind of had work lined up, had shows, parts to play, and that kind of thing. Do you see that being an issue coming out, like people rocking up to shows, or like you've got some shows in the line already? Is that correct?
I've got one show that we've, but yeah, I did have like a few shows that we were in a tour of New Zealand that we had to cancel, but it's hard to know right now. I know that there's obviously people are coming out and they're wanting to get out and experience things, and there's been a lot of, I'd say like a nice positive, like want to put money back into your local. It's been that sort of drive since the end of COVID. So I would say that there is that drive, but it's hard to know whether or not that is going to apply to theatre shows and that push. But I know that the theatre community are all very supportive of each other. That was pre-COVID as well, so I know that that's still there. It's whether or not the general public are feeling that.
Yeah, and I reckon because the message goes out, support your local, like shops and things like that. It's the same with the entertainment industry, like theatre, gigs, bands, comedians. Got to get out there and support these guys. And one thing that was quite heartwarming was hearing how many tickets had sold for the Canes game in Auckland. Like they're up to 20,000 tickets for that game apparently.
Yeah.
Oh,
maybe even 30. Like it's kind of a blessing in disguise, maybe for rugby, because they'll
Everyone
get some
getting those numbers, eh?
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So it's real cool to see.
Carter making a return.
Hard. It's,
Oh, yeah.
had a chat about Carter last night with the boys, and I reckon he'll play a few games here and there. Anyway, Pumba, based out of Sydney. How's things been going over there, and kind of how did you guys have a lockdown? What was the whole setup in Oz?
So we went into lockdown. Well, it wasn't really lockdown. I think it was more level 3. A couple of weeks after New Zealand went in. So I'm in the stainless steel industry with, and our line of work actually picked up. It was pretty funny, we were thinking that we're going to have a split staff, some work from home and the rest, at work. But what happened for us was actually it was a massive spike in work, and it was cool because I've taken on the supervisor role recently.
Nice.
And I got to see a different aspect or a different dynamic to the job, and just seeing how busy we were at that time, and it was a blessing. But at the same time, we couldn't help but feel sorry for, the people that lost their jobs or they're just that whole just people just not knowing if they were going to work the next day.
Yeah.
So it was hard to be happy. I mean, it was hard to speak about, the spike. How much work we'd taken on. So I think I just had to be real intentional with conversations that we were having with people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I thank God for that blessing of constant work. Both my wife Janice and I worked through. No hours were cut or days taken away. So that was a massive blessing.
It's lucky, yeah.
I feel you, yeah.
I was watching Pat McPhee. I'll give him a shout out. He's become a bit of a mentor now, and from Manaki, if you guys give him a follow, he posted up the other day that prior to lockdown or during lockdown, or maybe even before lockdown, 24,000 New Zealanders lost their job before the wage subsidy was announced or before that happened.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of people, man, and I guess businesses couldn't hold on to that kind of till that subsidy come in. How about business, bro? How did Rain do?
Just before COVID hit, we were actually looking into getting our socks manufactured, and then it hit, and I was a bit worried because they were coming from overseas and they were on its way, and it was saying I think 15 days for delivery. Anyway, they arrived, and we ended up releasing them during COVID. And what happened was another influx of interest came into the website. We know a lot of traffic came through, and then we ended up selling, almost selling out a lot of our stock from last season, which was when you do something you don't expect the outcome. It was exactly that.
Yeah,
we didn't expect it. We didn't expect it, and now we're working towards just drop a new drop and restocking. So Rain has done well. Now
Nice.
we definitely see God's hand just working in that.
And what's the kind of plan? Is there? Do you do a winter drop?
Yeah, so we've actually we got a winter drop. I'm actually sitting next to our gear right now, still learning how to use it. But we have a winter drop coming probably in the next fortnight. So everyone loves winter. Like moving over to Sydney, I bought one hoodie, and I remember when I got here, and I was just like, oh man, I need to see who is coming over from Wellington to bring all my other hoodies because it's cold here, man. It actually gets cold here, so I'm actually happy because I'm a winter boy. We all grew up in Wellington, 4 seasons in a day. So nice. I love rugging up, and I love the hoodies and the beanies. So winter drop is definitely coming, and it's probably one of my favorites.
Nice.
Yeah, I've seen some temperatures. I follow some Aussies on Instagram.
You've seen some temperatures.
Temperatures.
Yeah, you know how you can use it as a filter when they take a photo, and it's
right, I got you.
Because I feel temperature.
Guys get down in the single digits over there, man.
Yeah, bro. In the morning, the other day, I was driving to work, and my car's not my car because my car's old. My phone said 3 degrees, and I was like, damn, it was bad. And here I am in shorts and t-shirt. But yeah, it does get cold.
It heats up though, eh?
It heats up, yeah. Midday, 11.
That's how
11, 12,
temperatures
1.
work traditionally.
Can you see temperatures? Yeah, it gets cold here, man.
Yeah. And I guess, Seps, I'll touch on your journey real quick, bro. Like, actually, have I jumped the gun? Yeah, I have. No,
What is
go
this?
back.
What
Yeah,
is this? What do you call this?
Absolute
a
circus of a pod. Absolute
What
circus
is this
of a
outfit?
podcast.
I didn't agree to any of this.
Mate, it's in your contract, mate. I wanted to touch on, boys, how we met. Now, I've got kind of a rough memory on how I met both of yous, but it might be different to your memory of maybe meeting me. I'll let you guys start, eh? Why don't you guys start? Put your hand up.
Oh, you see, I don't remember the moment. I just remember the feeling.
Ooh,
And it was
deep.
It was of absolute disgust. It was, no, I'm kidding.
All right, thanks for coming.
It still haunts me.
No, I don't remember the exact moment, but
Because
our circles are close anyway. Like,
Yeah.
just a different sort of generation. But with Pumba, we grew up through church, and you're a couple of years older than me, so we were always close enough to interact and stuff. And I mean, you're in like a middle ground, right? Like you had the older, whereas I'm like clean and cut like the younger group, and then so you're like in the middle where you can float in between. Fridgie, you want to go with your first memory?
Thanks for that. Now I'll say yours, and then Pumba can tell his. So the first time I remember you, I don't even think I talked to you, was Bay Touch down at St. Bernard's.
Oh.
And I think he might have still been in school, and then I remember asking one of the boys, "Bro, who's that kid?" And they're like, "Oh, bro, it's Buttle's brother."
Hey,
Did you have your tattoo while you were in school? Your arm on your arm?
I had. Yeah. That's a funny.
I
begged.
Samoa.
Yeah, got in Samoa.
And he came back and he thought he was the best.
It was one of those. Yeah. I don't have too many.
He's wearing his summer uniform in winter.
Yeah, I think he's had just got back too. So I was like, bro, that kid's got a tattoo.
Yeah, true. I think I would have been like 15 maybe. 14, 15. I literally had to beg my dad because all of my cousins.
He's all got it, bro?
Yeah, all of my cousins, like maybe 10 of us, all got tats, and I was the youngest and and I sort of begged my mum and dad. I was like, "Oh, please!" Like, even my girl cousin who's close to me, she was getting it, and so yeah, I snuck in.
Nice.
But yeah, definitely showed that one off.
Poms, I'll jump in on yours too. I just remember you talking to you at primary school, and I knew that your Fred's. I don't remember what we were talking about. I just knew you were Fred's younger brother. I was probably protecting you or something like that. Looking after you, mate, it's just natural. But do you have any memories of meeting one of us?
Yeah, my earliest memory of Sepe, I'll start with Sepe, was obviously growing up, and what always sticks in my head is Loko Kameki.
Oh.
Always, because he was like lead part in his kind of thing, and I was doing my thing, and and I kind of like, oh, this guy's good. And then
arch nemesis, is it?
every year, the tears came naturally, and but just growing up with Seps, Sunday school, going to church, and there was always that hanging out, during Konga Isepe, where we would find something to do. So those are the earliest memories, and just.
You said the tears come easy. Was that because I was a sook? Is that what you were alluding to?
I said that your acting was getting better,
right,
so
cool.
I had to up my acting.
I was just checking. I wasn't sure when we were going there, but yeah, all right, we'll save that one for.
And then I kind of separated myself because I'm pretty sure Jesus was skinny, so they went with you.
Boo.
No, but that was early memories, bro. It's been a pleasure. It's been awesome seeing you grow up too. But Fridgie, I think my earliest memory of yours was actually through your mum.
Oh, sweet.
It wasn't with Wolford. It was actually with Sacred Heart, and we had come over to Wolford to hear your mum talk about she had a health message.
Oh, true.
And I remember that day because she embarrassed me in front of all my kids, or all the students, and she called me out for eating
Obviously,
too much.
it's not a big issue.
She called me out for eating a bit too much, and
let's go.
And then I remember after that, I think I told Fred or I told Fuki, and then and then they were like, "Oh, that's Mark's mum," and I was like, "Oh, Mark."
Yeah. So
I hate
think,
him.
Yeah.
Instantly, I was like, "Oh, bad books." But that was one of the earliest memories I have. Was actually through your mum.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
shout out to Mumsy.
And that's years ago too. So
It was.
Seps, I think that might have been 10 years ago for me.
Yeah.
Me and you.
Yeah.
And then Pumba, mate, since way back. That's crazy, yeah.
10 years, yeah, because we went to Ragamuffin as well. That was kind of our early, like, first sort of, like, trip together.
That was messy. Entertaining.
Yeah,
Still paying
good
for
weekend.
it.
I'm still filthy. This is what I'm filthy on the most about that weekend. Is you know how we had a van? Actually,
You walked.
You're one of those guys that jumped in the van.
Nah.
We walked.
I walked.
No,
I walked. Yes.
You didn't walk.
I absolutely walked. It was the worst, and the traffic was going slow anyway. But yeah, I feel you.
All I remember is us leaving during Lauren Hill because nobody liked her. And then shout out. Sorry.
Hey,
come on.
Actually, just
speak
on
for
that,
yourself.
check out the Roots story on YouTube about recording with her, and then there's a bit of backstory there.
Is that negative?
You know what? Nah, it's not. Actually, it is.
Okay.
So we're walking back to the van, get to the van, and everyone that has partners are in that van. Everyone that's too wasted is in that van. And there's no room. There's no room for Fereti and Pumba, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how Viben left on this side of the fence? I walked as well. I absolutely walked.
I actually can't remember you said because
neither.
It was
all I can remember was darkness and my feet just walking.
And you were sitting on a seat?
I
was filthy about that too, Freddie.
It was a long walk.
It was a long walk.
Especially after standing all day. Well, that's a lie because I had a couple of naps throughout the day.
I did, yeah, you did. That was awesome. Yeah.
We arrived and fell asleep.
Hard. The next kind of question I have for you boys is this question popped into my mind. Might have been a couple of weeks ago. I'm not sure if I've shared it with you, but
we're going deep, right? This is the off the record.
Yeah.
Now we're dropping.
It's somewhat deep, and it's probably going to be hard. Excuse me, just burped. Did I burp on air?
No. What is this? What is this?
Absolute circus. And I was thinking about it, kind of leading into this pod, and I asked myself, how many people truly know who you are?
All right.
And the reason I say that is because, like, for me, like, I reckon, and this is the hard part about this pod and probably episode 0 is because some family are gonna hear this and be like, oh, I didn't realize that about him, or they might hear me say something that they don't like, or find out the truth, or find out that I'm into death metal or something like that.
Yeah, the Foo Fighters. That was a.
Foo Fighters are good. Foo Fighters are good.
That's one thing I always found weird about you, Fridgie. You liked Foo Fighters.
Yeah,
there was one thing that I was like, that was me too. Though I had my specific taste in music.
And you know, Fridge, you were that guy that there'll be like 6 or 7 songs, mad jams, and then you will put one on, and the whole mood would change.
Yeah, right. I remember being at Drink Up this bar, and I'd be like, "Bro, can you put on My Chemical Romance?"
That's another.
And someone was like, and they'll put it on. And everyone's just like, skip. But yeah, I only asked that question because, like, I don't know if it's healthy or not, but like at rugby, just normal dude, pretty out there, pretty funny. Work, pretty out there, pretty funny. Maybe I'm around family, I'm a bit more reserved. But then I looked at my hand and I tried to count who knows me inside out, because everything about me. And I reckon there's definitely you two, and maybe Mussy. Or maybe some of the cousins. I don't know. But do you guys feel like that with maybe your family or your friends, like, or are you just an open book? Everybody knows exactly who you are and what you're about. Was that a bit deep?
No. I
like that question.
I think for me, it's kind of like I have to put it into context. So, like, in terms of like where I'm sitting at, where I am in life. And like when I think about that question, I'm like, far out. if you asked me that like half a year ago, I probably would have, or maybe a year ago, I would have thought I probably would have been able to give you an answer. And then I think about it now and where I've been and where I've got what I've gone through and like just general experiences. It's kind of harder, and I'm like, is there a one or is there even a zero in that situation, including myself? And I'm like still figuring it out. And I think especially in the last couple of months, I've learned heaps, learned stuff that I'm just like, man, I wish this guy knew it back even a year ago, even 2 years ago. And so if he didn't know, then, and if I'm still then, so there's always there for me. There's a constant like still learning something about myself and like growing. Not even just like, oh, that was in me. It's like new in me and being like, okay, this is new. That's altered who I kind of think I am, or like in that sense. So it's.
Can I ask a question? It was about your show Legend. That you done and they come along, and there's a part in the show or parts in the show that you read out letters to yourself. Was that purely character, or was that a bit maybe intertwined or written, or was that written for you?
So completely written from me to me. So those parts of that show, they were, and to be honest, those were rewritten literally the day before. So we had the idea of that reading to yourself. So reading a letter to yourself from where you are now to your 10-year-old self, and so on in different ages. So 5, 7, 10, with the context of growing and like being a person, a human being, or like an adult or a male, and all of that. And I think I was kind of playing it safe from all of the rehearsal periods. And then I think I was maybe 1 or 2 rehearsals before. And I talked to a few people, and one of them just was like, you need to be a lot harder on yourself in terms of like more honest. And then I had another person who was like, take it from the perspective that you've only got 1 minute. So you've literally got 1 minute to speak to yourself. So you're jumping back 1 minute to talk to yourself at the age of 10. And what would you tell them? Because obviously 1 minute's different from like half an hour. I'd be kind of like, I'll try and lead into it. 1 minute, it's like, bro, you need a this, because I've only got a minute to talk to you, and I need to get all of these ideas to you. So they were definitely from me to me.
See, that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. Like, not many people would have known that you might have had those thoughts, or that you would have said that to yourself at those ages. But then again, nobody wants to expose that kind of stuff about themselves and kind of
that's
things.
heavy.
That's
epic. Can I ask a question? Those 2 people that got you to rethink it, are they kind of mentors in a way, or do you look up to them in a sort of way?
Yeah, absolutely. One of them is definitely someone whose opinion I kind of trust. And especially when it comes to like theatre work as well. Someone whose opinion I look to advice or guidance, and if they do offer something, I take that like quite seriously.
That's
cool.
Yeah.
Man, how about you, Pums? Do you feel like you're an open book and everybody kind of knows who you are?
I know you, Pumba. I know you inside out, brother.
No, I think I'll bounce off what Sepe said, the word of context. I think I am an open book to whoever I meet. Like I'm knowing to go 100% when I meet someone. So at that point in time in my life, I'll give you 100% of myself. But then obviously we evolve and we change, and we go through our journeys, and your circles change, your influences change, your surroundings change. So we also change, or I have changed along the way. So to answer your question, I am an open book to a lot of people. I think if we could strip it back, like when you were talking about, like what Sepe was, what you were reading to yourself, Sepe? Talking to your future self, or?
From the other way, so from me now talking to my past self.
Yeah, see, like the things that he was sharing with himself, I don't know if I've shared that with many. Even myself at times, I think the closest person at the moment to me is my wife. Janice will know everything, because she sees it every day. She sees what I go through. I'm not one to, I think, share my struggles or make it evident type of thing. I'm like, so I think Janice, she cops that end of it. But definitely the circle, our boys, especially that time where we lost a few brothers. There was just that, I think it was just a couple of years just losing someone, and that really brought us together. And those nights, those late nights that we'd have, those long walks on the beach, those long talks, and I think that's when a lot of our doors were open, especially with us three, because we kind of weren't in each other's picture at that time. And then especially when Bega was put to rest, man, I just seen like all the circles kind of like come together, and it was cool.
Yeah.
Like Fridgie had his. Do you remember the Ellistown fridge, your garage?
Yeah. And Moira.
Oh, sorry, Moira. Yeah, Moira. So I had that picture. I had Fico Valu's garage. Then I had the shack. I had the shack. And then I had what's the Petone? Where the
Manuna Bar.
Manuna Bar. So I had, like, from my perspective, I had all these like different circles just all of a sudden just join.
Yeah.
And then bang, we all just became tight. Like,
yeah,
it's out of it. Like, it's so true. Like, through what do they say? Through pressure, diamonds are created. And I think that's what created, all of us, and how tight we are. The bond that we have is that just, how much pressure we'll put through by losing the brothers, brothers.
I feel you, man. And it sucks that it has to be like, at least for us, the cost what it costs for us to appreciate each other, or to realize, the time that we spend together is that much more precious. And I think, especially with Bags, he always reminded us of that. Like on the daily, he'd do something that he's just like, yo, like, just remember, boys, there'll be an just a random comment just to remind us that, like, appreciate each other now. But it sucks knowing like that's what it takes sometimes for us, like, as like males. Yeah, New Zealand born Samoans or whatever. In that context, like, it's not when it's only when shit kind of hits the fan that you're kind of like, oh, I need to reach out, all this and that. So there's a huge thing around there that
yeah.
We could keep going with this question, man. Like, it's
hard.
It's heavy.
I think Sepe just swore on my pod. No, I'm kidding.
Broke the ice.
One thing I will say, Seps, about that show, I don't think I shared this with you, is when you did read that list, and I was just thinking, hang on, this sounds familiar enough for it to feel real. And then I was just like, everybody else kind of is watching like it's a show, and watching you do it, I was like, oh man, like, because I feel like we're close enough that we talk on levels and stuff, and then I just sat there feeling like, bro, does he actually feel this way? Like,
wow,
what kind of like mate am I to not know that?
Damn,
he's saying these kind of things now. That's why I was a little shook after the show.
Right.
But that's what you want out of kind of the content and the
absolutely
data you're putting out.
Good on you, Seps. I love that, bro. Yeah. I love that.
I think especially for that kind of show, it was like a whole journey of me like figuring out like, oh man, like this is hard, and this, like, what I'm saying is hard. But it's the pushing through the hard stuff, and even if it's tears or whatever it is, it's pushing through that and realizing, man, this is actually helpful. So that was something that I learned. That was just one of the things that I learned, was like, man, even though it looks like it's hard and it looks like I'm crying or I am crying, or it looks like I'm real like in a shit space, that part of me is the push through that is the kind of good part. So and it's all like part of like learning new things, because their standard is quite low when you think about like people in general, like share your feelings, talk about how you are on the daily. That standard is quite low, but I guess for a lot of males it's not a standard that they set themselves. So it's kind of interesting to put it into perspective. Yeah.
Nice, boys. Thanks for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Always good, I guess. And I guess we've spoken over the last few weeks on this platform, on Zoom, and kind of had some mad-ass conversations, bro, and laughs and kind of deep talks as well. And I guess it's good having a space where we can come into and kind of talk about things like that and things. I guess moving on to the next part, I wanted to talk about maybe quickly about your journeys perhaps I might just bounce back to you again.
Yep.
The first time I heard that you were in theatre was, I think it might have popped up on, I don't even know if Facebook was around, but we heard that you were going over to London. Was that to like some Shakespeare Academy or something like that?
Essentially, yeah. So I guess that was where like my theatre sort of journey kicked off. I'd say so. Prior to that, it was church, and like as Pumba mentioned, doing plays and like lokomeki every year. Obviously, there's the annual lokomeki where we perform, and from like a young age, you start off doing the reciting go loko and like just little snippets. And the older you go, you get put into classes, and you get split up into more advanced groups who start doing reenactments of parts from the Bible and all of that. But then, like, honestly, even when it comes down to like Friday youth group or Sunday Bible studies, like we were given so many opportunities to like perform or express yourself in different ways that I didn't realize at the time. I was like digging it, like, yo, like this is me. And then you put it into the context of work, and then it's like, holy crap, like, so you can get paid to do stuff. So that didn't happen until, so when I was at school, we were just like every other day at Burners, we were mucking around at lunchtime playing hold or whatever. And then the announcement came to say that our auditions are open for Romeo and Juliet. They're thinking of entering a Shakespeare competition. And I reckon it was in for like a whole week and no one kind of went. And then maybe on like the last couple of days, we were like, oh, we should just go and muck around as a joke. And we did. And like we had like a solid group of like boys who just came to muck around, and we all got cast, and then we all performed. And honestly, from there, it kicked off. Like I got selected to be a part of like 48 in New Zealand to do like a week workshop. And then from there, we got selected down to 24 to represent New Zealand. And they do this every year. And so I was the year group from 2009 and 2010. So in 2010, we went over to London and we performed on the Globe stage in London, which was crazy. Thinking about it now, I'm like, man, I kind of took it for granted at the time, the opportunity, and mucked around and drank.
Was it Shakespeare's stage?
Yeah, so it's it's not the original. It burnt down.
Yeah.
A couple hundred years ago, but yeah, the Globe stage that everyone goes to in London currently is where we got to perform on. Yeah, no, we got to perform on that stage, and the best thing I think for me was Mum and Dad decided to go on an OE around the same time. They tied in their trip to meet me and watch me on stage. I think that was
to keep an eye on you.
Absolutely not. I was loose as no, but like, you know, in that respect, they were there, and I was like, man, this is cool. We went out for lunch, and just a whole different world from where we kind of grew up here in Lower Hutt, Wainui. So, and
you come back, you leave school, go to uni,
study law. As every other.
Did you study law?
As every other Samoan or Pacific Island kid who goes to uni, whose parents have an inkling of what they want their child to do, become a doctor or a lawyer, and that was the same story for me. So I did first year law, and oh man, I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it. Sorry, that was just a blatant lie. I like kind of pulled back. I enjoyed it as I said it.
Actually, no, I didn't.
no, I didn't. I tolerated it, and then I would go to my theatre classes, and it'd be the same feeling that I had, like
the release.
Of just being able to like perform and do stuff that was like fun. And then from I actually didn't tell my dad that I dropped out of
law school.
Yeah, I dropped out, and I guess it wasn't until later when he kind of came to shows and saw the enjoyment. He was like, oh yeah, this is something that you absolutely enjoy and love, and that was a turning point as well for him.
Yeah, and it's funny because most of your shows have been pretty intense or like super creative, in a sense that you kind of have to figure stuff out, like when you're watching them.
Right.
And I think when the boys are like, well, in the early days come along to watch something, they're expecting like a play where you have a part.
Additional, yeah.
Yeah. So it's been quite crazy. But it's been cool though, because it's got our group of boys along to theatre.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which we would never usually do.
Yeah. I appreciate that, eh? And that's I've been fortunate, so in the stuff that I have been able to do, just been fortunate. Like I could have gone the traditional route and done like fourth or like normal, but like the standard place that everyone goes to, and I have done that. And even I've done some recently. I just haven't invited you guys. Just been like, they want to. No, like it's just
on
like
the podcast.
No, yeah, like I've been to heaps of your plays, and you kind of just only been to one of my gigs, so so I stopped going. It's unbelievable, hey, Pumba.
How do you stop this Zoom recording right now?
I would make an effort from here, morning.
Nah, don't you ever.
Right, Pons, I'll bounce to you. I'll bounce to you, bro, and kind of, I can't remember what year you went over to Sydney, but I remember you telling me, and I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Like losing one of my, and they're losing, you're just moving. Like one of my best mates is moving away. You get over there, get a pretty decent job, like kind of similar to what you're doing back here.
Yeah, I landed a pretty good job and pretty quick too. I remember I landed, and I think it was after Sanga's hug, she handed me an application for my Medicare, a new cell phone. And she just teed me up.
Tee you up, yeah.
She teed me up, just to. There was like, oh, no mucking around here, little brother. You're straight into work. So I was able to hit the ground running when I moved to Sydney. But I remember telling you because we used to go on our the beach walks. You remember that?
Yeah, pretty romantic.
Yeah, very, very along the waterfront there. But I remember I told you on one of those nights, and your reaction was that, and it was hard for me because I'm the biggest mama's boy, man. Like, Sepe, I think we're alike in that way.
I was gonna say, yeah.
It was really hard to actually entertain the thought of moving to Sydney. But what really helped me was Sanga. I think she kind of needed family over here.
Right.
And I felt Wellington was small. I don't know. It felt weird saying that, but yeah, I felt
you're not wrong though. Because Sydney is big, Wellington is small, and some people like big and some people like small.
Yeah. And I think I was like I was in a part of my life where like I just felt like it was Groundhog Day, just doing the same thing, every day. Working for the weekends, and I wasn't really doing anything with my life. So that change was, honestly, probably the best change or the best decision I've made in my adult life was to come away from Wellington.
Yeah.
Nice.
It really helped me find myself, like my identity, because I honestly found identity in others in Wellington. That's what I found. I found myself wanting to do what other people were doing or conform to the crews that I was in. But I was like, man, like who if these people just lived my life, who would I be? Like that type of thing. So I was able to come to Sydney, land a good job. Man. Yeah, thinking about it now, like having that reflection time and, what you guys have tapped on is really thinking about who you want to be and who you are. And moving to Sydney kind of isolated me to actually go through it. I remember, I think the first year was obviously the toughest year. Just going through things and trying to find foundation, trying to build myself up, trying to build who Pumba really was. Man, I met some cool people, like some of Joe's family here. They were awesome. We clicked.
Bro,
really
you
well.
always meet cool people, bro.
Bro,
no matter where you are.
I've had this conversation with Janice a lot. It's just I meet the most random people.
Yes.
Like the most random people. The other day I was in Mount Druitt and I pulled up to the lights, and there was this guy in the ute to my left, and I just caught him at the corner of my eye, and he looked at me and he gave me this like smile, like I want to talk to you smile. So I gave him the I want to talk to you too smile. and
nothing more though, just the perfect amount of I want to talk to you.
Just I want to have a chat to you at the lights.
Yes.
It was one of those looks, and his engine revved as he pulled up next to me, and he goes, "How's your day been?" And I was like, "Yeah, my day's been good, man. How about yourself?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm just on my way to Ripco. I got to get some oil because I'm driving back to Newcastle. I just came here to visit my mum." And I said, "Oh, how is your mum all good?" and we just started getting into this pretty deep conversation at mind you, at the lights. So he goes, "Oh, no, she isn't. She has cancer." And then I said, oh man, what's your mom's name? Do you mind if I pray for her? And he goes, oh yeah, sure, I'd love that. Her name's Sharon. So at the corner of my eye, I see the light went orange, and I go, bro, drive safe, God bless, and I'll be praying for your mum. Anyway, we drove off. And coming back to what you said is that I meet some cool people.
That's a mad talk.
That was probably the most recent one that happened. And I told Janice, and we were just cracking up, and I was like, I don't know how I meet these people, but I swear, like, they're meant to be in my life, or we're meant to cross at that certain time.
Yeah. There's a common denominator in that situation, is that it's always you, mate.
So I mean, you never know. He might have needed that chat, bro. No.
It was really because I always ask myself, I was just like, why does this happen to me? Like, I meet the most random people. So I'm just like, oh, just go with it. Just go with it.
Yeah.
Just go with it. I'm sure there's a purpose. I know that God's put this person in my path, or me in his path, or whatever, vice versa. But
there's a saying, like, isn't there a saying, like, if everyone you meet is a dick, then, like, you're probably the dick. And I feel like it's the flip side to that. It's like, honestly, like, you're the good person. Like, it was probably not that phrasing, but it's along that line.
Yeah, I've heard that before. And the person that told me, I was like, nah, pretty sure it's you, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But like in this setting, I'm like, Pumba, you're drawing good because you're giving good. So I feel like,
thanks, bro.
He probably just saw you and was like, this kid looks like a. He's probably thinking the same thing, man. Like, this guy gave me.
Look at this guy.
He gave me the good. He has a good look.
Bro, it was honestly, it was like as soon as we saw each other, we knew we were going to talk to each other. That's what I mean. It was so weird.
People give off good vibes, right? You see someone and you're like, I want to talk to that person.
Yeah.
In like the best way, like, least expected.
But yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
No, yeah, massively. And I'll probably talk about how you got into rain and stuff, how that started, or how nervous you were getting into that project and
100%.
And things.
I think it all started from school. You remember crumping?
Yo.
Yeah.
Can't say I was in it, but I remember it.
Like when crumping Venel
tie-dyes.
Probably Venel was probably one of my they used to love getting those t-shirts, and they would spray crosses on it, and
Masoy.
Yes.
No,
Venel Vinks.
Vinks. Yeah, Masoy.
Oh yeah. Same. So some of the boys approached me and they're like, "Oh, can you do this, this, and this?" And I remember walking down to warehouse, and the long tees were, I think, $9 at that time. So I'd buy the tees and buy a bit of cheap spray paint and actually sell the t-shirts to the boys, to the crumpers. And moving on from then, me and you, Fridgie, we had a bit of a little stint with UKRY, Ugly Designs.
Yeah,
that was something I really wanted to release, and we went away to the Lost Coast Boys one weekend. I remember, we printed 2 t-shirts just for me and you.
Yeah, and
I remember we posted up some photos, and a couple of days later, people were just like, "Oh, like when
can we get one?" Yeah.
when are they dropping? Like they were actually giving genuine like interest, and I was like, "Oh."
Because those were nice designs, man.
They were fresh, and at that time, the designs, the what was in was big and bold, so that really worked. And I think the interest off the back of that, it kind of stemmed something in me. I was like, oh, maybe my stuff's worth it. Maybe I have something here. Then moving forward, I didn't do Ugly. You guys know I didn't really release it. I just played around here and there. Helped out Brown Hill with a couple of designs. That they went on to print, mass produce, and that was another thing that really blew my mind, was when someone else, and I didn't know this person, would be wearing a design of mine. I was like, oh, like damn, like I didn't know this person. They just walked past me in the mall or something. I'm like, even me and Fridgie, because I remember Fridgie, you were over at my house when I was designing those. You were the one actually that they hooked that up. I think you said Gore must have asked you, and then you approached me. So
I thought you were gonna say Fridge offered some like design And boy, I was kind of like, oh, true.
Yeah, maybe you should just.
Pumba's like,
can you
can you
go
just
make
wait
us a
outside
coffee?
the door?
Yeah, Fridgie opened up Paint, and I just started.
Fridgie's like, have you heard of Windows Paint? You're like, get out. Get out.
You can use this paint, and it just does the whole page for you.
No, I mean that was the time when that design process actually came, because it felt like Brown Hill were a client, and like that pressure of, oh shucks, I now have to step up to the plate and design something that fits their culture, fits what they want to do, fits where they want to go, and obviously people will enjoy to wear. So that was awesome. That was a kickstart for a lot of things. But moving into Rain Apparel, I felt like Ackley was a real how do you say it? Was a real big note of myself. Was a real thing to uplift myself. It was all about, oh, how does it look, or how does it make me look? How will it make me feel, better? How will it make me look cooler? How, what connections can I have through Ackley? So I knew straight away I had no substance and it wouldn't go far. So I dropped it, and moving to Oz, I'd started a journey. Started going to church more often, and I just started seeking God a lot more. And then I started to ask God questions, because when you're young, I don't know, this might sound bad, but I was never encouraged to ask God questions.
No.
To ask God why, to ask God what's going on with me, or what can I do. So I started asking God questions, and I was like I know I have this talent, but what am I doing with it? Like, what's something I could do with it?
Yeah.
That has substance, that has that has just value for people. So then, dummy, I didn't put one and one together, but it was just obviously design and my love for God. So the day that, or the time I decided to merge the two was the day when the light bulb just switched. I was like, damn, this is a ministry. Like, it's not just a clothing brand. And I think we've tapped on it before, where Freddie, you said find your niche.
Yeah.
And when I was going through that, a lot of people were like, oh, that's a niche. Oh, that's a niche. And I was getting upset. I was just like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not a niche. Like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to blow this niche up. Like, because that's the purpose. When you have something, when you're passionate about something, you don't want it to be a niche, right? Except I'm sure you'd feel that with your style of acting or your style of plays, like you'd want it to reach more than a niche. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And not feeling like you're being contained.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. And I felt that with the gospel, was just like, when people would call it a niche, I was like, no, you can't put a cap. You're right.
Yeah, you just continue, mate. We're good. We're good here.
What is this? What is this? What is this show? It's not going to get old. I'm going to say that. Pumba, I love that for you, bro. Like, I appreciate that so much, because I think about, like, we obviously we grew up in the same, like, congregation, like Efakasa here in Lower Hutt. And for me, like, when I think about religion and, like, that it serves such a purpose in different times of your life, and, like, my parents migrating from Samoa, where they grew up in this village setting, village life, coming into New Zealand, Wellington, where they're away from a village life. The church all of a sudden represented that for them. So instead of having everyone local, like, they lived in the village where your distant cousins are like next door neighbors to you. You're in this big, like, rural or semi, like, urban setting. And so the church for them in that setting represented the village life, and they were latched onto that sort of aspect in that community. And then I think about us growing up here, and, like, just for me, I didn't have, like, when I grew up in, like, primary school, intermediate, I had friends at school, but we never sort of hung out outside of school or any other setting. So for me, like, the church and youth group represented that growing up in that life. And so, like, that thing of growing up in, like, the church then represented that for me. And I appreciate that so much. And then I think about it now, like, when I grew out of that phase and I went into a different path, like, it doesn't necessarily have the same impact as it is now, but that doesn't mean that it's not the end of the journey.
That's it. 100%.
So, like, it's not serving anything at the moment. And so I appreciate when I hear that for you. I'm like, man, that's sick, that religion or like God has represented this for you at that time of your life over in Oz. I appreciate it heaps hearing that.
No, it's so true, because you tapped on it before, Seps, with the growing up through youth and through lokomiki and all that stuff. Like unknowingly, it was teeing us up.
Hard.
Like unknowingly, it was setting us up to actually be those personalities within our new circles, within our new communities. Because I found that, like, when I moved to Oz, I remember asking the cousins, "Oh, do you guys have a youth group?" And they were like, "Oh, no." So in my mind, I was just like, okay, so we've got a youth group. Why don't you just start one? So I didn't necessarily start a youth group. What I started was just hangouts, just nights. All we did was a template of youth games.
Yeah, I was going to say, because that's kind of what youth was, right? We just went and we played games. Like, we caught up on a Friday. We talked about highs and lows, and then we played, like, games. like different games that we could, and that was it. It was a hangout, and that's something that I never had with my group of friends at school. Just because of the way, like my upbringing, like it just wasn't a thing to hang out with your friends on.
It was this circle.
It was this circle. So it became youth, and man, I have no like that.
Can I just get a pause real quick, Seps?
Yeah, bro.
You're good, bro. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, boys. Thanks for all that. Really appreciate the feedback and insight to your journeys.
Questions, Freddie.
That was mad. But I don't want to delve in too deep to Black Lives Matter. What I really wanted to ask was, I came across a couple of posts today on Facebook with differing opinions to myself, and not only on the Black Lives Matter, but also about the performance of the Prime Minister as well. And I just sat there and I was like, man, how can these people have this opinion? Even TJ Perenara come out today saying that he stands with Black Lives Matter, and he just said a couple of things. And I read the comments. I shouldn't read the comments, because
I mean, sucking
people in there. And one of the first comments I read was, "So all lives don't matter," and I was like, he didn't say that. He just said, then it just got into that argument, and then I was thinking, what should I do? Should I unfriend these guys, jump in with a comment and get into a long battle on Facebook? Like, what's your guys' feeling? I know we've had a kind of a thing lately, sets with kind of our internal group, which we probably won't get into, but I guess this Facebook thing would be similar. Like,
yeah, it's tough, man.
I usually say, like, people on thin ice when I see it once or twice, and then they're gone, especially on Instagram, because I'm not on Facebook much.
Yep. No, I feel you on that, yeah. It's a kind of like a tough, when I think about Facebook friends, I've got like quite a few that we maybe met in passing, like it might be whatever setting it was. It's not necessarily, we're not hanging out every day or every second day. So I think in that respect, like, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, you're entitled to this and that. If I see something that I'm like fully against, then there might be the thought of like maybe private messaging and not in the public setting, and just like in a private one, and just being like, hey, like, kind of notice you post this. But if they're a friend that I consider a friend, and someone that I hang out with, or someone that I talk to every second day or hang out in the weekends, then I kind of feel like there's that responsibility to say something. And I would hope that I would have the resilience to say something to them directly, and it might be in a public setting, but in terms of Facebook, that's a different realm. People feel a lot more entitled, or they have more strength to speak values, or to toss out ideas in ways that can be interpreted like as. But yeah, I'm very much for this like Black Lives Matter movement, and if you like notice on my social medias, that's kind of where I've been pushing. But I know what you mean with the friends thing, because we've obviously had stuff happen in our group. So
and I spoke to you at work as well about at what point, like, I'm not too fussed with you because you're young, but at what point as an older person in our group of friends should I go, look, this is enough? Let's you know,
Play the
get
mediator.
sorted.
It's interesting that you said, yeah, it is interesting. I never, I mean, in our group, like, it sounds weird, but like, I don't see like as like an outer person to be like. I don't see it as like that, and
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever, especially in our group, we're all like,
Yeah, see, the thing is, I just know that Baker would have just gone, man, everyone's just been silly. But I
yeah,
guess it's the level of what we're discussing at the moment. If it was just a stupid little fight between mates, then of course would all be going. And again, I'm not trying to get into too much detail and trying to out anyone or anything like that.
for sure.
But because of the sensitivity of the subject, then there's a line drawn.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, sort of stuff. What do you reckon, Plums? Kind of, what's your feeling on it all?
I honestly, I don't know where I mean, obviously, I'm for it. Like, I feel the pain, and I can see what's happened, and through the history, or not really getting into the politics side of things, and just all I see is social media. So I'm very careful of what I'm actually listening to or what I'm actually diving into. But like, I had one of these moments the other day, and I was like, oh, where do I actually stand with it? And the way I saw it was like if we're a team, yeah, if we're a team and the flankers are struggling, like, wouldn't we go over and help?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's why I see with this Black Lives Matter is that, yes, we are one race, like we are one, but if someone's struggling, are we not called to go and help?
Mm-hmm.
Like, or are we not called to stand for justice, or are we not called to at least give them a platform to be heard, or to you know, to view their frustrations? Because suppression is dangerous. Like, I hate that word is that it's happened for this long, and I know we can't just look at what's happening in America because it happens all over the world.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of arguments that I've seen on my socials is that, okay, what about West is it West Papua?
Yeah.
You know, what about West Papua, or like, you know, just other countries that it's happening to? Do they not matter too? But I honestly haven't made. I mean, I've made my mind up, but I just don't know where I am socially. I don't know where I am vocally. I don't know where I am. Like, am I encouraged to go to these Sydney protests and stuff like that?
Yep.
The thing that really gets me is that when people out people for doing what they believe in.
Yeah.
Like, it's all good. Like, it's all good. Do what you want to do. But when you make other people feel bad for not doing what you're doing, I think that's where it kind of gets me. And I'm like, oh, everyone has freedom of speech. Everyone has freedom to act, but don't expect because you're doing it, your closest friends have to believe it or have to agree with it. Everyone has their own mindset. Everyone has their own way to think. So I do stand for Black Lives Matter.
Yeah. See this. Sorry, Pumps. You go.
No, go for it, because I was kind of running.
There's two things that come to mind for me, and one, well, there's probably three things, but I'll mention two. One is now that all this has happened, and we're seeing, oh man, it's just good to have this matter out in front of everyone. Everyone's, you know, there's dialogue out there about it now, and I'm just like, no, that's not enough. Dialogue's been out there every time something happens.
Yeah,
it's always talked about when something happens.
When something happens.
Like, it's time for action, and you can see over in the States that people believe the same way, and the reason why people in different countries are so passionate about it is because it's happening in our countries too. It's happening everywhere.
Yeah.
And for me, I've said it before, I feel like this is just the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
Everyone's had enough. And the second thing I wanted to mention was the reason I'm so passionate about this kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't post up all the time, but I always bite back if I hear something.
Yeah.
Whether I should or shouldn't, I'll bite back, because I think about my parents, bro. I think about your parents and the experiences they had coming through. And for those experiences to still be around, but man, if something happened to my parents like that, then I'll be pretty eeks. So that's all I think about. I'm not fighting for myself. I'll look after myself. I'm all good.
Yeah.
I'm fighting, being vocal for people that actually get the bad experiences and treatment and things like that. That's how I
nice.
feel about it.
I like that. Because you talk of I talked. Like I might ask mum and dad, like, have you experienced this and this and this, and in terms of like racism and all of that,
Wow.
and they'll be the last people to say, yeah, I have. You know, like they'll just be like, no, like blah blah blah. And then I think about what they've lived through, and I remember, and I always go back to this memory. But like it was like fourth year of uni. I read a play, and it was Dawn Raids by Oscar Kitely. I came home and I was like,
Wow.
Dad, like I'm reading this play about the Dawn Raids. Like this is crazy. I never knew about these. I've never read about them anywhere. Never got taught it. And he was like, oh yeah, I was there. And I'm just like, what do you mean? And he was like, yeah, I was there. You know, they woke us up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., took the whole family out, and they were angry that they took grandma out. And it kind of reminds me of your like feeling is that they were angry that they took they took our grandma out in the cold at 4 a.m. in the morning, you know, to check passports and all of this. And you hear stories in the play as well, like of like Maori are being asked on the street, oh, where's your identification? Where's your passport? And they're literally, you know, indigenous people like, what do you mean? What passport are you talking about? So there's like things like that that just haven't no one knows about. No one and then I think about I've never had to like experience the overt kind, you know, that type of overt racism, but there's definitely systematic and institutionalized racism across the board that I'm like, it sucks that it took this kind of movement and the thing that the factor that like brought it out is horrific. That the over the last 20, 40, 50 years of consistent like oppression and like that kind of the things that are happening to the African American or black community in America consistently, and for it to reach this point, you know, and for that to happen, and for us here in New Zealand to be like, fuck, well, it is happening here. So, or like, there's elements of
it's
it
like it's triggered a ripple effect into countries looking into their own
in the best way possible.
In the best way, so
and like the way that it shouldn't have taken that much.
Well, imagine for us that in 300 years' time, that kind of stuff was still happening.
Damn.
That's what's happening in the States.
Right.
400 years of it, you know, like, yeah. I guess the last thing I'll say on that is just like, educate yourself.
Exactly.
Become informed. Just talk about it. Ask. Read posts.
Yep.
Don't take everything in. You know, do your own research and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I think that that's it. Is like at the start of this year when I was going through heaps of my life, and I sort of was learning about masculinity and like all of the aspects. In my mind, I was like, man, like, you know, like, oh, I've learned heaps, you know, like pat on the back, mate, like go get your award, like that's mean, like, and then like this year happened, and the experience, and you're like, holy, you've had a lot, you've got a lot more to learn, you know, like, and
take a seat,
exactly, you know, like, and so that's it. Is like, if you've got the capacity to educate yourself, then you should, and like it should never be an excuse, or it should never be.
Like I like at work, like I didn't click onto this, but sometimes there's just real underlining, just underlying racism, like just like little comments. Like I was never like exposed to this because I just thought they were jokes, but I never knew, or it's finally clicked that, man, those are actually like real hurtful, and real damaging at the same time. But I think where it's got to is that it's got to a point where it can be a joke and be laughed off now.
Yeah.
And that's what catches me off guard. Is like, oh shucks, I'm actually recognizing that when you say educate yourself, that's one thing I need to do is really educate myself. And with Black Lives Matter, I don't know everything. I don't know everyone's side of the story.
Yeah, I guess it works both ways. Like we need to.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah,
like it's up to us too. Like it sucks that it's up to us, because then it's like, well, then are we? You know, well then we have got the information. Like, are we then the ones to be like, oh, like this and that and this and that? I think Pumba, to hearing you say that, it's kind of like, when I think about it, I'm like, man, like that was our upbringing. You know, like we laughed, we made jokes about everything, like 100%. undercut everything bad that was happening, or like to an extent just make it bearable. And so, but in doing that, we kind of enabled that behavior. So I think about
made it okay almost.
My bringing it, like even just school, like there, and the clear thing for me is when I think about space. So the space that you're occupying, and like when you're in a work setting, what space are you given automatically. So when you're in like a space of like authority or whatever it is, and it could be in a creative sense as well, it's like, oh, what space am I given in that sense? And there, I just think back and I'm like, there are definite times where I had no space, or there was no space given to me to represent like different things. But I just know I was just the voice. I wasn't anything else. I wasn't anything with like a sort of push behind it. And like when I think about that now, I'm like, oh yeah, okay. What can I do next time to voice that? And I wouldn't be the same. You asked me the same question a year ago, and I'd be like, no, I'm all good. Like I've had the best upbringing, you know. So it's all about learning, and so.
I guess, like for me, anyone watching or listening that might be over this conversation, or just like one of these three guys on, like, yeah, I stand for Black Lives Matter, but by no means am I a racial activist or an active protester or anything like that. I just believe in what's right, what's fair, believe in equality, and I believe, I'm going to throw this out there, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said the time is always right to do what is right.
Nice.
So we'll probably segue into the next part on that. Pretty deep convos, boys, and I appreciate that. And I know it's a topical matter. We're not just jumping on it because it's topical, but because I genuinely wanted to talk about it and see what you guys thought as well.
I think that's a big thing for me. Is I think you were talking about before, like people, like you talked about us two and like having us on here. And I think for me, you two represent two of the guys that I will always have no trouble having a good yarn about anything and everything with a different perspective, whatever perspective that is. I know I can come in this setting and not feel any type of like restraint or shame, and like, because you two represent something different for me. I'm like, I have my friend group, I have my guys that I grew up with, and like, and even in that group, there are people that I'm like, oh yeah, I know they could slot right in here, but I know specifically you two, I'm like, yeah, cool, like, I can chat to you about stuff. So I appreciate this opportunity. Like, I just know, like, we wouldn't talk about this because it's topical. It'd be things that I'm comfortable with.
Yeah, I think for myself, it's a conversation I need to have more, to be honest. And I do need to look into it more. I've seen a lot of friends, just solid posting and going out and protesting. I'm like, okay, what am I missing?
Right.
Like, what am I missing? So no, thanks, Rich. It's definitely a good space, a safe space too.
Safe as, and for those 30 people that stop following on Insta, come back for the next episode. It'll be great.
Hey.
Hopefully it's Pat McPhee, episode number 1. Come back, give us a follow. Say, guys, I'm looking at the reports.
Yeah. Look at the viewership. The viewership dropped about halfway through the interview. Hey.
Off the record has gone into receivership. Boys, I wanted to go on to, I know you might have been expecting something else, but we're going to go on the record for the end, towards the end of our show, end of our potty.
You have no respect.
Yeah.
You have
no respect.
And it's I think it's 5 questions that I've come up with to ask every person that comes through. To be honest, I didn't come up with these questions. I googled random question generator.
What is this? What is the setup?
Yeah, mate,
Is this original?
Smarter.
Is this original?
Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, nice.
Hey, all right.
So we'll go around the table. The first question is, what movie could you watch over and over and not get sick of?
Are we allowed to chuck a couple out there?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, mate. Fill your boots.
Hot Tub Time Machine.
No way,
bro. That's a low-key great movie. Yeah,
I haven't given it its time, to be honest.
Give it a nudge, bro. Part 1 and 2. Yeah. Pretty rude and like there's a lot of swears, but just a funny. I reckon it was funny.
Oh, yo, that's
time and place for me.
Yeah, to go along with that, like if I'm in like in a silly or like just could watch anything, I could always watch Step Brothers. Just,
you know what? I reckon Pumba was just throwing that out there as a joke, eh? And did you throw that out as a joke?
No.
Did we jumped on it?
I actually enjoyed
it. If Step Brothers comes on TV, I'll be like, oh yeah,
you'll sit there and watch it
every time, man.
Just because there's some classic lines, and like not all of it's great, but you bear it through. And
have you watched the bloopers on YouTube?
Yeah.
I watched them many
sitting
times,
in the back.
bro.
Yeah. Bloopers are great.
especially with that crew.
Bloopers like let you know, like man, they would have had fun on set. You know, like improvising or just mucking around off the lines. That's when you're like, fuck, that's funny.
Off the bat.
Just there, but I think, yeah.
I'm gonna throw another one out there.
Oh,
don't judge me. A Walk to Remember.
It's not Mandy Moore, is it?
It's Mandy Moore.
Oh,
true. Wow. Holy heck! I haven't seen that, to be honest.
Is that like a religious movie?
It is, man. It's a love story. It's
I've seen it. I'm pretty sure.
I've seen, like, I can picture the poster.
Yeah,
but I haven't seen it.
I bet the poster's like
can
her.
You do me a favor and watch it
on a beach.
But no, I reckon like walking down a suburban street, walking a dog, and there's like a pastor walking across their shoulder or something like that.
Walking down the beach, and there's a guy as well.
I do think I've seen that movie, and I think it was good.
Well, check right here because we got the poster up right here. Fridgie's going to edit that in.
Might put it there.
Yeah, I think another kind of classic for me that I could watch is Remember the Titans.
Oh,
classic.
I think for me that
what a time for it too.
Coach Boone.
Yeah. I think for me that's kind of like speaks to like the camaraderie or like the growing up with the boys or like that kind of and like tension and then coming together is kind of like that's something.
Yeah,
they're like
my favorite scene in that movie is when the parents are waiting for them to come back and they're on the buses and they're all like
cheering.
Yeah, that's such a good scene.
It's very naive, as in like it's like the perfect story. It's a true story as well, though, right?
Based,
yeah.
Cool. I might throw a couple out there for myself since he's the
absolutely.
Was it our questions or?
Yeah, sure, it was your questions, eh?
Go for it.
But I like the dramas, bro. Your Saving Private Ryan, your Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank,
I love war movies too.
Yeah.
Don't know what it is, but I absolutely love them. Good war movies.
Shawshank is stories up there, performances. That's like number one, right? Of like all time.
Pretty sure
on IMDb at least.
Next on the record question, I think I leaked this to Pumba maybe last week. And I don't think you're across Seps, but I'll ask both of these. If you were a ghost, how would you haunt?
I'll say what the one I said to Fridge was, I would if I was a ghost, I would just before someone would take a big bite of the meal, I would cut their lunch and just bite it for them.
Oh,
I mean, just like sit back, pretend to take a bite of your burger. I just took it.
I don't think you can bite it.
Nah,
so you're talking. So you're infiltrating the real world in this setting.
I'm crossing over.
You've gone from ghost to poltergeist, I think. Yeah. There's specific lines and guidelines that we've.
All right. The question was pretty broad, so
absolutely, I agree. I think for me, it would be it'd be like a soft caress of a specific kind of song, like consistently in someone's ear, like just like random times of the day, and they'd always
creepy,
wonder.
Man.
They'd always wonder, like, why have I got that? So as they're trying to go about their business, that would be to the point where they probably wouldn't even attribute it to be a ghost.
It'd be cooler if you kind of had sung that before you died, or like it was attached to you. So every time they heard it, they'll be.
Are you superstitious, Fridgie?
No, I'm just trying to write like horror movies here for you.
Oh, here you go. So you're putting.
Okay, well, if it was the song, if he's all had a song before he's left, what would it be?
See,
what to creep someone out or like that situation?
Yeah. Because you know how songs take you back to a moment, like.
Talk to us. Go on.
Mine would be Hotel California.
Oh yeah,
that's creepy too.
I know.
Creepy.
On the dark desert highway.
That's nice though.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind getting that stuck in my head.
I remember I said to Janice, if she buries me, can you play that? And she's like, what?
I'd go Big Me by Foo Fighters because it's got that kind of vintage horror kind of sound. It's almost circus-like.
If you're wondering what that sounds like, Fridgie's going to pop it right up here and it's...
Oh, yeah. Are we all pointing different ways?
Oh, yeah. We can do multiple links. Yeah. I'd probably go, yeah.
Here.
I'd go Lil Wayne, Lollipop, just to put you off. Just trying to like you're trying to work and
Being very creepy.
just like in the back of your. Oh, I was gonna say back of that. I'm not gonna say it.
Mate, you're on thin ice, eh?
Anyway, we'll edit that out.
Right, next one is best concert you've ever been to.
Nice.
Best concert.
I haven't been to many enough, but I'd say 660 at Western Springs was pretty like just insane to think we were still in New Zealand and they were just like
One of the best ever in New Zealand, apparently.
it was yeah.
And
it was
you
just
were
insane.
there.
Yeah, it was insane. They're doing some sort of like filming right, or they've released. I don't know if they're doing it weekly, but they are doing it. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing, but I don't remember camera. But that was for me. I was like, holy, this is insane. They were in they like blocked off the streets like Sevens and Wellington afterwards on the street because there was that many people. It was just, and if you looked around, you couldn't believe that you were in an outdoor sort of stadium or like, yeah, it was insane. That for me was a great experience. People too.
It'll probably have to be Katinas.
Oh,
The Katinas, yeah. I went to them when I was really young, and thinking about it now, it's like they're like the gospel anthems.
Mm.
I haven't met a fob that doesn't know the Katinas, so to be able to be live, and the thing with concerts with me, I get into it when I know the words.
Agreed.
If I go to a different concert and I know one of their songs, or the rest of the 3 hours is a waste of time. But I think the atmosphere at Katinas, because obviously it's gospel. I love my gospel, and getting into it, knowing all the words, and seeing and especially because I was young at that time. I was young. And then I hear obviously they went on to do really big things and still doing big things. It's like, oh man, I've been to the concert.
They're family, right?
Town Hall. Yeah, they're a bunch of brothers. Town Hall in Lower Hutt.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
I love that. When you see Town Hall, like obviously there's Wellington City Town Hall, but your Town Hall is Lower Hutt Town Hall.
Lower Hutt.
It's changed now though.
We used to run to the fountain.
Absolutely, like they've changed the whole thing. They busted a lot of it down, but there are a lot of memories at Town Hall events and stuff, church events.
Best.
I'll go.
Yeah.
For the first episode only, I guess. Or episode 0. Foo Fighters, hands down. Mount Smart Stadium. Pretty epic. Went with my brother. Absolute bucket list gig.
Yeah.
The funny thing, there weren't many Samoans, bro. I've got to be honest.
I was gonna,
I only saw me and my brother.
Yeah. Not the smallest men as well. In the crowd.
A good representation there.
Yeah, people were staring at us. It was quite funny. But then they were quite surprised that we knew all the lyrics and all those kind of things.
Dave,
it's cool that you and your brother were into it. Did your brother get you into it, or how did that happen?
No, my brother got me into music generally.
And
then we've just had similar tastes along the way.
That's cool.
And then just, I don't know. Foo Fighters blew up on us.
That's cool.
Right, next question. What's something you're interested in that most people wouldn't expect?
I'm like fascinated by the stars and like astronomy, and that's something that like I kind of wish in like another lifetime I would be like an astronaut, or like not even that sense, but like I studied it a bit more and like I got to know more about the stars. But that's something that I think
cool.
It's something that I carry with me, because when I go to Samoa where there's like no light pollution, I'm just
so
like,
good.
I'm out there like staring.
The stars
I don't know what it is.
Right there, you can just pick at it.
I don't know what it is, but that's always something that I've like, I don't know if I've told many people, like if anyone, that's something that I've always.
There's some real mad videos on YouTube. I'm quite a serial YouTube whirlpool guy. Always
down a rabbit hole of
and I'll probably jump in before Pumba here, and I'll go Mount Everest videos really do it for me, eh?
Wow.
And what are Mount Everest videos?
Bro, honestly, I like YouTube rabbit hole, and I was watching this doco on Sherpas. And then
what are Sherpas?
Sherpas are the people that help climbers get up Everest and back.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Like golf caddies.
Bro, they carry massive loads. They're up and down the mountain.
They carry massive.
Because they know the mountain, right?
Yeah, and their lungs are kind of built for the climate.
Because they've grown up or they've worked in the area for so long.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yep. And then just after that, just watched so many episodes about Everest. It was crazy. I know parts of Everest. I know that there's a trail there. I know that the airport's one of the most dodgiest airports in the world.
Yeah.
Ooh. If you could just speak into the mic a little bit, just tell us some of the secrets of Mount Everest.
Secrets of Everest.
Secrets.
So, like, people kind of think that most people just go there, climb, go back down, and they're gone. But when they get there, they spend like a month at base camp, and then they'll climb up to Camp 1, come down, climb up to Camp 1 again, climb back down, Camp 1, go up to Camp 2, come back down to Camp 1, spend a night, come back down, go up to 1, 2, spend a night on 2, come back down. And they'll keep doing that all the way up just to climatize.
So it's just because of that? Oh, shit.
Yeah. And then when they get their clear shot, when they get up to like Camp 5, and they've got a good weather window. This is so geeky for people watching it.
No, this is cool.
If they get a good window, then they'll go for it when they're up at Camp 5.
I've never thought about that. That's insane.
There's actually a real good movie out there called Everest, bro. And it features some Kiwis in there. Just about this mad disaster that happened back in the 90s, I think.
Yeah.
Where heaps of people died up there.
Happened in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Everything. We were all feared.
Much.
Yeah.
So it's me. How about you, Pums? Something you're interested in that most people wouldn't expect?
I find myself like just in other people's business, just unknowingly just.
So you're nosy. You're
yeah. I'm not
absolute stalker.
It's not to a point where I want to know what's going on. Sometimes I just catch things. And I'm just like, I almost 100% know what's going on in that situation. And it's real weird because I can pick up things, I can kind of read situations real weirdly. And I think I people watch too. I like to people watch because I like meeting different personalities. At work, there's this customer that nobody likes. Like, he is a terror. He come in the other day and he asked to go to the toilet, and I was like, just due to COVID, we're not letting people use our toilets. And he goes, I'm gonna go piss in the bushes then. And he didn't say that to me, but he said it to one of the coworkers. So I knew he was coming in the next day to pick up an order, and I made it a mission in my head.
You pissed on his order. Oh my gosh. Unbelievable.
You made it your mission to.
You're a maniac.
No. So I made it my mission to befriend him. I made it my mission to really get to know him. And
nice.
It was so weird. And that's what I heard stories of this guy, how he would just rip into people just for making the smallest mistake. Anyway, I approached him with the biggest smile, the best customer service that I could offer. And then I got to know him. In 5 minutes, I found out he played golf out in Stratfield. He was a life member at Stratfield. In 5 minutes, I learned that he got down to a handicap of 3 at one stage. In 5 minutes, he invited me a weekend on his boat.
Hey,
and I know this is just small talking, but just to have that experience with him, I think I really like people.
It's like what we were talking about earlier, bro. You're good just meeting people, talking to people. You've done
common denominator, mate.
Yeah.
He was a dick to other people, but
but yeah,
you're a dick to me, and you found a different part of me.
All right. Next question. If your life was a book, what would the title be?
Pumba. If my life was a book, the first Samoan astronaut. Hasn't happened yet. It's going to happen. Blackout.
Oh,
So
It's a private joke.
yeah.
that's a tough one.
Hard.
Yeah.
I guess
I don't know. I'd like to think if my
Yeah,
life
nice.
was a book, how did they topple Nike?
Oh, nice. Yeah, good aspirations.
I see. What are you looking at, Seps?
I'm looking at the makeshift bookshelf that I made up there.
The picture books.
Long Walk to Freedom, Nelson Mandela. See,
Hey.
that's a book. That's an auto.
See, I was thinking for me, and this kind of, I wanted something like roll the dice or give it a nudge.
Hey,
Or have a
dig.
nudge. Just
Give it a
something like
shot.
that, you know.
I really liked your post, your recent post. Not the last one, but the one before there was the quote. What did it say? It was they'll ask you why you're doing it, and then
why
they'll
you're
ask
doing
you
it.
how you did it.
Yeah.
I like that, and I guess that kind of aligns to where you're sitting at with.
Yeah.
That's
Off
good,
the
man.
record.
I love it,
Yeah.
mate.
Appreciate
Episode 0.
Episode
Look when
0,
they're looking
mate.
at episode 370, and they're like, "So who did you have in your first guest?" And we're sitting there like, "Well, we had faith. We
We had hope.
We're running on fumes and
absolutely. We had a few technical
There was
difficulties.
adrenaline,
Zero
and
budget.
There was one point we
got us
paused
through.
there was one point the mic fell off and we paused it for a sec. But that's all part and parcel of it.
indeed. Last one for me, boys, is who do you feel like you know, even though you haven't met them?
Oh, like
Boy,
celebrity.
straight up, I feel like
Yeah.
I'm tight. I feel like I'm so tight with River Jordan.
Oh, man.
Straight up, because he reshared my post, my story one time,
Yeah.
and I was on cloud 9. Like I was like,
Your story.
yeah, just back then.
Oh,
On Insta. He's one of the good ones, though, bro.
Yeah, I actually like his content. I really
agree,
value
yeah.
his content.
Yeah.
I think he's a genuine guy. Like
That's
feel
what
like if he walked into the room here, he'd be like, "Oh, it stinks." Like he'd
Yep.
just get into and yeah. But I feel like
Does your room stink?
no, I'm just
Did you just out yourself?
maybe.
I feel you though. Like there's people like there's personalities that you watch on things that you're like, oh yeah, and then there's people that you're like, that's kind of just like them. You feel like, and I feel like with Jordan, the things that I've watched him, I'm like, oh yeah, he just seems like he's being himself,
Yeah, it's not put on too much.
which is part of the appeal, I guess.
Yeah, because when he shared my story, I just wanted to say that again.
When he shared your story,
Give me 2 months, eh? We'll get him on.
yeah, absolutely. And you'll
We'll get
Pull
him
him
on.
out.
credit this clip that you're going to
Heavy bar. That's what it says.
Nev Masina might have to come through for me.
Nev Masina. There's someone who I it might be because I've been watching a lot of Community lately, but Donald Glover or Childish Gambino, I feel like his humor is too good, and his approach and his he's crack up. At least
He's an
what I've seen.
all-rounder, right?
He is.
He can do it all, man.
Yeah, it's insane, right? I mean, part of me is like, fuck, I wish I could get to hang out with him, but if I would hang out with him, I feel like we would vibe.
Yeah.
Hey.
Then he's like,
see, it's cool that you say that. Like you say that you would vibe with him instead over you'd just sit there and be in awe.
yeah,
You have those two influences, like, oh my gosh, it's him, and then you have those, hey,
your vibe,
nah,
he'll be a good hangout, man. Like,
Soleils.
yeah, hard, but he'll be like, he'll be like this. Oh, what are you up to? But, he'd be there.
Yeah. What about you, Fridgie?
Yeah, hard.
Yeah, I was thinking about this, and I know I'll probably get a lot of stick for it, but I feel like I'm pretty tight with William Whitehall, eh?
Oh yeah.
Like I know, like in his early videos and stuff. Once I started watching, like I bought into his style, his humor, and there's heaps of types of different types of humor out there. I think I was speaking of you before about it, Seppi, but like I get his style of humor in his videos, some of the awkwardness that he does, and the thing that I like about him the most is, like, he's a positive dude, bro. He helps people. He's got a positive message, and he works hard to get to where he was.
Hard.
Where he is.
I get that. He seems like a cool dude too.
Yeah.
He's closer to home too, where it's kind of like, oh, yo, like, I can see that in the group that you hang out with.
And I get super jealous. Like, people post up photos meeting them all the time, bro.
Oh,
And I'm like,
you haven't even landed
one
one.
time.
Yeah. He went
Like,
big in a very specific time of like social media too, right? Like it was
Yeah.
Instagram, like where Instagram was a big thing.
And he's built his brand too. Real
Ah.
nice.
Yes.
But yeah, like, I've messaged him before and he's messaged back, which is cool.
Yo,
That's cool.
So yeah,
that's
maybe-
New Zealand for you, you know?
Yeah.
That's the shots you don't take. Oh, I like that. Just chucked it out
Yeah.
there.
William Wairoa, let's go.
Hard.
Yep.
Let's go.
Episode 3. William.
Absolutely. Hey, Fridgie, we got a couple questions for you as well.
Yeah.
So before you try and wrap things up.
Oh, classic Bernie Taliolo.
Classic Bernie Taliolo tricks.
We took
So
we took a branch off Bernie.
So this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to request screen sharing, Fridgie. If you could accept those privileges.
Okay.
Okay, I think you wanted this as the word exposed. You used the
Mate.
word exposed.
If Pumba sent you photos, bro.
We're good. You're absolutely
And,
fine. Let's
no, you're fine.
disable screen sharing, first of all.
Oh,
let us
yeah,
get
I'm
in.
trying to
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
mate.
Open the door.
Open the door and we'll guide you through.
There's a bus
Blindfolded.
sitting outside, and just lie down. Think what
there we
was
go.
our,
All right.
what were we going to call this, Sepe?
So this segment's called Explain This Look.
Ooh.
Oh,
Is that
mate,
clear
I
for
already
you?
know what's coming. Mate.
Explain this look, Fridgie.
I had to explain this to my family at quiz night.
You did.
Well, now
Alright.
you can explain it to all your followers.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
So,
hit him, Sepe.
all right,
Get him.
Here we go. So this is our first. The first two are kind of very similar. So I'm going to
Oh, yeah.
share them
I
both.
can live with this one.
Foo Fighters.
So we're looking at 2 here. 1 and 2.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
similar. It's the hairstyle, Fridgie. Explain
Okay.
this look.
Let me explain the first hairstyle here. Like, the first one, if you go quickly click back to the second one,
Absolutely.
it should look like that, but just a different color. But because that first one, I'm in Samoa, and
Dried up.
the
The
heat
heat.
factor. So yeah, I was a big fan of dyeing my hair.
I
Yeah.
remember that. I actually remember that.
That was
Fridge.
many kgs ago.
So you're a big fan of dyeing the hair. All right, cool.
Yeah.
We're moving on to, let's go in the past, I guess. Explain the looks.
Oh.
And explain who you're with. Yeah.
Yeah, who was it?
Give us the full
What
roundup.
a G up. So up the top there is the oldest Kardashian, Nev Masina. Bottom left, we've got with the heinous bowl cut and Masina.
It's a heinous haircut.
Heinous.
Bolga.
And the crybaby in the middle
Yeah.
is little Willie
Little Willem.
Masina.
And is that untucked on one side a thing or?
Yeah, it was kind
Yeah.
of one of the, it was fashion design. It was actually a t-shirt that was cut on the end.
Does that say
Ahead of the
Petone?
time. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
bro.
Petone.
What about the jersey, bro?
Bro.
Yeah,
Oh,
shout out
gee.
then.
Need to
Go on.
re-drop those.
Hard. And this is at, I'm assuming, Lower Heart Makers with the playground? But this
No,
is
I think
outdoor,
It might
no?
actually be Newtown.
Are you... Gross.
Okay. So you're wearing a Petone
Need
top.
to- I might post that, but I might crop it and post it up on Petone Insta.
Absolutely. That's a throwback.
Awesome, man. Petone Football Club.
Oh, here we go. So
Oh.
this is we've moved ahead. Explain this.
What's going on here?
Explain this.
Clean shaved. Look at
Look at
that.
this guy.
Look at
this guy right here.
Two earrings in there too, bro. 2 blings.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, I see.
It's
It's almost like The Rock, to be honest. I mean, I don't want to.
definitely during summer. I've got a gold blend or brownish hue.
Here we go. Line 7. Look at
Line
that.
7.
Line 7, bro. I was mixing it up.
Your surfer brand.
Look at that.
You don't like to
What's
box
it?
yourself,
Green?
don't you?
Nah, he's all over the place. This guy.
Oh,
Anything else to add there?
Nah, look at those other guys though.
Absolutely.
They're
Yeah,
gonna
no,
be filthy. You brought them into.
hard.
Shout out to the cuzzies.
Sammy.
All right,
All right,
moving on.
hit him.
Explain this look, Fridgie.
What's going on here, Fridge?
All right, Corporate Connects 2016 Melbourne Cup Day, and the game was to build your own hat with off the supplies.
Oh,
And
Okay.
I just
so we're looking at the hat.
So what's that? Is that your pen holder?
That's pretty good.
That's just a black paper that we had. You can see paper clips holding them together.
Look at the smile. He's happy about the hat, to be honest.
Yeah, he's a winner.
I knew I was onto a winner there, and I won first prize, mate. Don't worry about that.
I was going to say, yeah.
What about, I love that you stuck with purple, because isn't purple one of your favorite colors? Or your favorite color?
Yeah, favorite color.
Has to be, right? Yeah, you saw the second one. Here we go. Explain this.
Just with this one, in the beginning, he goes, Patoni to the death, I think.
Oh.
Okay, skip that one. Let's just go.
Explain the look, Fridgie.
Under the bus.
Mate, Thomas Marker.
He would never live this down, will he?
Thomas, what are you doing? Get out of there. Get out of there, mate.
Let's just get a close up of this look.
The attitude, hey, just the demeanor behind this photo, it's not just the photo. What was going on here, bro?
I agree. Fridgie, I've worked in quite a few shows, and a lot of the time the director will be like, hey, can you channel this? Can you channel that? I look at this photo and I'm like, holy heck, what were you channeling? Because I wish I had that ferociousness in those eyes.
This is how the 10 minutes leading up to that goes. So this is at Mussie's old flat, and we're sinking a few 5% Cody's before a gig I had in the hut, which none of you guys came to. And I've actually got a red top that's probably off camera there. It's got the sleeves cut. It's a bit of a shirt with a hood on it, which would have completed the look. Yeah. And so I'm telling Mussie about 5 minutes before this happens, I go, bro, so that was a normal T-shirt, and I cut it down to have a low chest on it.
Yeah.
To get
that was a look at that
bit
time.
Of exposure.
Low chest.
Yeah. And then I go, bro, but I cut it too much. And he goes, show me. So I took that shirt off, and he's like, bro, you look fast. And then I pulled the shoulder down as a joke, and he cracked up, and he goes, here, put this flower on.
Oh, and literally,
me and Mussie, thank you.
This was born.
I just want to take a moment just to thank Mussie.
Mate, I'm 8 Cody's deep there.
And you know what, Fridgie? That's one of the best I've seen you.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
You're a bastard, mate. You know that.
The angle and the composition of the photo, just the garden behind and the garden in your ear. Oh.
Absolutely. And
the cool thing about this, for people that are watching and listening, is these two are resident guests, so they'll be appearing every couple of months.
You're ammoing up right now.
So it's been great. Wish you all the best.
Gonna go into the archives.
Episode 0. I'm proud to have represented.
I'm done. I'm hanging the boots. I'm hanging the mic up.
Absolutely. And we've got one more. Explain this look, Fridgie.
Jeepers.
What does this look?
That look is every time I walk out of one of your plays, I'm just like, what the frick happened in there?
I love it. I'm like,
I
love it. This is a gift that Off the Record will be releasing for public, and anytime you need it.
And just on gifts, I do have a few to release myself.
Absolutely not. And we will stop that conversation right there.
I feel so safe right now.
Absolutely.
Good stuff, boys. Yeah, that was something else. I'm just killing time here because I need to put my headphones back on.
I mean, there's a couple of technical difficulties, and I thought you would have done a couple of drive runs, but
no. And just to everybody as well, everything stays. No edits. We're gonna just run it right through, keep everything in. Seppy's gonna edit this for me, and we'll go from there. But that's it for the first pod. I know we ran long, so we're going to have to probably drop to part 1, part 2, which is cool for the content bank.
Hard.
But just to finish up for everyone that's watching, we'll aim to post up 1 a week by the time we get to the 27th when this drops. I'll probably have 5 already, 5 or 6 to release. So content's going to be there. It's going to come out at least once a week. Pumba, what's the website people can catch Rain Apparel on?
www.rain/apparelaus.com. Also, AUS. Also Instagram and Facebook, Rain Apparel search. Watch this space. We've got a bit of content, a bit of merch dropping to carry that gospel.
Nice. Pumba.
Thanks for the plug, Fridgie.
All good. Get them behind them. Facebook, Instagram. Get on the website.
It's right here.
Winter drop coming. Oh.
Winter drop. Let's go.
Winter drop's coming. Great message. Great kit. Seps must have some shows. Show coming up, and then shows coming. Check out Sepelini Mua'au.
Yeah, we're all good. Find us on Fridgie's.
.nz.
Absolutely. Nothing to plug. Nothing to plug. We're good.
Yes.
Follow the link. Like and subscribe. Yeah, so.
Jordan, where you at?
Otherwise, guys, give us a follow on Spotify, which will be down the bottom.
Yo.
Instagram down the bottom. Not sure about YouTube yet, but we'll put that up the top.
Yeah.
And I think that's about it. I want to thank my episode 0 guests, my resident guests, Sepelini Mua'au coming through, Pumba coming through. Brothers, really help you out. Really thank you, for helping me out and getting this done.
Absolute pleasure, bro.
Hard.
It's been good. It's been fun. Can't wait to see what happens, bro.
Yeah, feel privileged, man. Thanks for having us. Looking forward to the rest and helping out where we can.
Zero value.
Zero value, this crew.
All the value. Well, thank you everybody for watching. That's off the record with Fridge. I was going to say off the project.
Off the project. Hey, what is,
mate?
We changed the name. It's off the project now with Fridge.
Hashtag OTRW Fridge.
Yep.
That's what we're doing, apparently.
Nice.
Shot. Peace.